Okay, so let's talk about our budget presentation. At the last board meeting, we began the conversation about the 2015-16 budget. And we begin always with our mission statement, providing the environment to foster mutual respect, uniqueness of the individual, opportunities for success, guiding all students intellectually, emotionally, physically, and socially. It encompasses the entire program. And when you see the bulleted points there, beginning with ethical values and ending with a comprehensive base of knowledge, these are all evidenced in the very many aspects of our program, both academic, athletic, co-curricular. You will see this emerge over and over again in our district. I think it's an area of great strength for the East Justice School District. Of course, in partnership with our parents and community lies the success that we have seen, will continue to see, and we're appreciative of that. In this coming year's budget, we are looking at a maximum allowable tax levy increase of 1.69%. You might recall from last year the number was about 3.37. This year it's 1.69. The projected budget is $79,729,258. It's an increase of 2.05%. Try not to be too confused between the levy increase and the actual amount of spending. There are some revenues that come into that, particularly through construction costs with our bonds. We know that we have state aid revenue will increase because of those capital projects. That accounts for part of that additional percentage. We know that there will be some savings this year from retirements and from settled contracts that were finalized last year. And of course, there's been a reduction in the district's contribution to the retirement system. So how do we get to the next level? How do we take our district and move in areas, even in this difficult time, how can we use the resources available to us to meet these goals, to maintain or lower class size wherever possible, to increase opportunities for students in the important areas of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how do we provide additional support to students, particularly in math, grades K through 8 who are struggling? How do we do that? How do we do that better? How do we reinforce the support services for our children to make sure that they're receiving what they need to be successful both inside and outside the classroom? What about additional resources for our facilities and our technology departments, again, to meet our vision? And how do we continue to ensure excellence in athletics, fine and performing arts, to make sure that those programs have the resources they need to continue to thrive? So let's take each one of those points one at a time. In terms of maintaining or lowering class size wherever possible, let's take a look at next year's class size projections for Waverly. So in the far column to the right, you see that next year we're projecting 10 sections in kindergarten, 10 sections in first grade, average class size in first grade of 22.2, and of course it's an estimate still because we're having registration for kindergarten, so that number will move and change over the coming months. But 20 sections this current year, 20 sections next year. It's important in the class size charts that we'll look at tonight to always do a comparison diagonally. So if you would take the kindergarten projection for the current year and then just go diagonally to the right and follow that class into first grade, you'll see that that has stayed the same. It's better to make that comparison than to go horizontally. It's also important to note that the first grade class size in Waverly this year of 24, that change and that lowering of class size will be seen on the next slide. So you'll see that now it's gone from 24 students to 20.8 for Ann Hutch. And I'll show you on the next slide how that number also comes down for Greenvale. So again, just going back for a moment, if we look at the 24 in first grade currently, the 10 sections, we now have an average of 20.8, and that's because there are 11 sections next year of second grade. So again, do the comparisons, if you would, on the class size diagonally. Look at the second grade this year, projected to next year's third, this year's third to next year's fourth, fourth to next year's fifth, and so on. And that's the best way to see that we're maintaining, and in some cases lowering class size, but with the same number of sections. At Greenvale, the second grade will be 22.7. So again, if we went back 2 slides, remember this year's this year's first grade, 24 students. So it has come down. And then you see the numbers as they slide from second to third, third to fourth, and such. Again, our class sections will be the same for next year, 23 in Greenvale, 23 once again for the following year. So that's an important goal for us, to maintain or lower size wherever possible within our abilities. Our second goal to get to that next level is to increase and expand opportunities for students in those areas of STEM. What does that look like, and how will we achieve that? Well, we begin by strengthening our computer science program, especially at Eastchester High School, okay, by looking at the sequence of study, creating a larger feeder program that will now help us support the Advanced Placement Computer Science program, which began this year. All right, we're also next year adding OC21, which is an online, it's an online course, and this is something a little groundbreaking for our district. We have contracted for 18 student seats for next year, and with those 18 seats, students who are going to be predominantly juniors will be able to pursue options in courses that we're not able to offer here in school. So for instance, there'll be courses in architecture, courses in engineering, things that we can't offer currently in our school. And these will be online courses. It'll be a pilot program for next year, a menu of courses. That's just a sample of them. And we think this is exciting. We think that our students should have the opportunity before they leave Eastchester High School to take a credible and challenging online course. And we'd like to begin that journey next year with what we call Online Course 21. We're also going to increase STEM opportunities in grades K-1. You might recall the very first slide tonight. In fact, I'm going to jump back to it if you don't mind. The very first slide is an example of Waverly students. Was that first grade or kindergarten, Doctor? It was first grade. We were in the classroom watching students build with straws and with certain parameters, and it was absolutely incredible to watch the thought process as students were trying to build the tallest structure and then measure it. That's an example of a STEM type activity in grades K through 1. We're also going to be pursuing opportunities in three-dimensional printing for students in K1, as well as what we call a makerspace activity. And what we saw on that last slide was a makerspace type activity in STEM. So those are areas that we're looking at. Also in grades 3 through 8, we want to make sure that we continue our efforts in 3D printing, in computer programming, and to that I'd like to extend thanks to 3 individuals who really have been instrumental in the strides we've made there. And those 3 would be Anthony Rich, John Blazer, and Tom Boisenall. These have been pioneers in our district, and there's a lot of excitement around these programs, a lot of momentum. We want to keep that momentum moving. We next move to additional support. We know that we need to support students in math. We know that they're struggling learners, and how do we achieve that? We're going to be beginning a very ambitious partnership next year with the College of New Rochelle. I want to make sure that our audience understands these are graduate education students. These are already college graduates. They're in graduate programs at CNR. And through this partnership, our district will be adding interns in each of our school buildings, and they will be able to provide for our students additional support in areas of mathematics or English language arts, and each building has specific needs. So we said mathematics, but it could certainly be in both. It's important to know that the interns are not replacing any services that we currently provide. They will simply supplement what we do, and they will be mentored by our teachers. And part of that program next year will be increased academic intervention services in math at Waverly. For our earliest learners, we want to intervene early and support students at the very first stage to make sure that we're helping them. We need to reinforce our support services. Again, the cuts over the past 5 or 6 years have really affected staffing in our buildings, and we're stretched very, very thin. We want to make sure that we provide supports for students. And among those supports that we're proposing for this budget include increasing a psychologist currently half-time in our middle school to full-time next year, providing additional counseling at both the middle and the high school. We're going to be adding in this year the recommendation of special education teacher to meet student needs at Eastchester High School. We're looking to increase teaching assistant support. We know that we have an incoming class in 6th grade of approximately 290 students. 290. So we're going to provide some additional support of teaching assistants. And there are other supports that we're considering at this point. We've not finalized those yet, and that's part of the debate and dialogue between now and the next couple of meetings. We also want to make sure that we invest resources into our facilities and technology departments to meet our vision and objectives there. And so, as an example in technology, we'll be continuing our IPA, the Installment Purchase Agreement, and using the Smart Schools Act bond monies to continue our forward progress. What we're looking to achieve here is a wireless environment in all of our schools with the ultimate objective of building capacity for bringing your own device, a BYOD initiative. We think that that's a bold step, an important step, and one that we can support with these resources. In terms of our facilities department, we're looking at some significant projects for this coming year. I won't get into all of them tonight, but the broad categories of these projects include abatement and replacement of classroom floor tile in several buildings, replacement of floor tile outside the auditorium in the high school, a complete classroom renovation in the middle school, an exterior door replacement at the high school, a gas line and connection for dual fuel capability at Greenvale, the sanding of gym floors in 3 of our buildings, and the painting of our high school gym, and playground repairs and equipment replacement at all of our elementary schools, and also a roof replacement of the administration building. So these are some of the projects that we're looking at in terms of facilities that we'd like to achieve through this year's budget. And of course, to ensure the excellence in our athletic programs, fine and performing arts programs as well. These are programs that need resources to continue growing, prospering. And the proposal for this coming year is we're going to ask for 4 assistant varsity coaches for the coming school year. 4 positions at the high school where the teams will have an assistant varsity coach. We're looking at building on the successes this year of our music program district-wide. I think that you've seen some magnificent gains in our music program this year. We'd like to now provide an opportunity for students to take that to the next level by offering a National Music Honor Society and getting that conversation started. And there are many other considerations that are in their infancy in our conversations that will be coming out, and again, based upon some community input and insight, some other considerations as well. The next steps for our budget will be to continue to evaluate these staffing and program needs, as some of which I've outlined tonight, providing some additional details regarding the budget, increasing, modifying various programs at the March 24th meeting, the April 14th meetings. Over the course of the next few meetings, we'll be looking to put more meat on the bone, recognizing that the key date of April 1st, once we do receive a state aid run, we'll have a better idea of what the revenues really will be for next year. So right now we're being very conservative. I think we need to at this point. If that changes, there may be an opportunity at these coming meetings to supplement some of the things we've talked about tonight in a modest way.